and welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Rusty, and this is my channel where I talk about my favorite movies, mostly horror, and my favorite music, mostly metal. And now we're going to move on to this juicy little survival horror movie that I found and fell in love with, and it's called DownRange, a Shudder exclusive. Yes. This was no accident. No, it wasn't. Now, DownRange was released in 2017. It was directed by Ryûhei Kitamura, written by Ryûhei Kitamura and Joey O'Brien. It stars Connaire, Stephanie Pearson, and Ron Hernandez, which I recognize from somewhere. It's one of those, I know you, but I don't know where from. But, yes. So, this movie is basically about a group of carpooling friends who were going home from school and were going to be dropped off at each of their prospective destinations. So you have 6 people: Jody, Karen, Kieran, Todd, Eric, Sarah, and Jeff. So they're driving, and they're at this particularly desolate stretch of backwoods road when they have a tire blow out. So they stop. They end up on the side of the road. They've got to change the tire. And we get to learn a little bit about these individuals. And they mill about, I guess probably about 15 minutes of the movie, as they mill about, laughing at each other, not really mechanically inclined. They're trying to change this tire. They're discussing each other's families, history. Like I said, it's sort of the get to know them period. Now, who I'm not sure I'll have their names right. Eric decides he's going to go over here into the woods and take a leak. And Jody, Sarah, and Kieran, I'm not really sure how she would pronounce her name. It's Keren, Karen. Karen. I'm just used to seeing Karen with an A, not an E. So I don't know whether to pronounce it Karen or Kieran. But in any event, they're sitting on the shaded side of the truck while Jeff and Todd are trying to change the tire on the other side. Now, Todd, he goes on down the road a little bit because the tire that they have just taken off decides to go on a little ride of its own down the road, and Jeff's over there. Now Sarah, she gets up and she walks around to see, how much longer this is going to be. And when she walks around the Bronco, I was literally stunned. That was so disturbing that I almost had to stop the movie. I actually did pause it. Not on the scene though. But I had to regroup because when she walked around, Todd, he's running down the road after that tire. He had gotten it and was rolling it back. She walks around there, and Jeff is sitting there on his knees, like on a kneeling position, up against the thing, and half that boy's head is blown away. And she couldn't really process what she was seeing. And honestly, neither could I. because you didn't hear anything. You know what I mean? There was no gunshot. You didn't hear anything. She just walks around the corner and there's this dude with half his head blown off, and it was gory. Brains all over the side of the SUV. Now, not only is she trying to process, and you, or I, was trying to process, but as she's staring at him like in utter shock, he does this twitching thing, and I thought for sure that I was gonna have to change my underwear or something. That scared the absolute shit out of me, because I did not expect him to do that. And she did that too. She jumped like I jumped. Very well executed, I must say. And so right about the time that he does it twice, and on the twice one, she starts to scream, but then they show her from like here down, and you hear this noise. It was just like, and you see her hands like do that, and she slowly stands up, and now Todd, that's her boyfriend, long time boyfriend. He makes it, he's about 8 feet from her, and she slowly stands up and turns around, and the camera pans up, and she's been shot right through the eyeball, and it's bleeding. And she's just standing there like reaching for him, like going, "Where are you going?" And you're like going, "This is fucked up." I did not. What the fuck? And he also is like having difficulty processing this scene, and all of a sudden she's hit again and she goes down. And the other two girls, they have walked around, when they heard her scream. They walked around and they're trying to process her standing there with blood pouring down her face, and her, it was fucked up is what I'm saying. And when the second shot hits her, that's when they know some shit's going down, and they start screaming. They run on the other side of the truck. He shoots Eric, who's out there taking a leak. He's about halfway back, and shots start landing all around him, and basically there is a sniper in the trees, probably about a football, probably about a football field away from them. So like 100 yards, 150. And that was just fucked up. So we then get to see some extremely great, once again, like in all of these movies, you have this group trying to science the shit out of this. What's going on? Where is he at? Todd's been shot in the shoulder. They try to figure out every time they move, right? Now you're starting to hear the shots, because obviously he had a silencer on it, but now your cover's blown, right? And he can't penetrate the SUV. So he takes the silencer off to have a harder impact. I mean, if you know anything about guns, you know that a compressor or a compensator or a silencer is going to slow down the impact of the bullet. And so he takes it off to try to get through that van, but he can't. So he can't make it through the SUV. So we're at a standoff here. They are protected. Now, the various things that they come up with to try to, how are we going to get out of this? They come up with all these different plans, not to mention you're thirsting to death over there. And Eric, he's out there because he can't move. He's behind a fallen tree stump, and he can't move either. So he's pinned down where he's at. And we get to see some absolutely fantastic mental gymnastics of these people trying to figure out what the fuck to do. You even start like, or at least I did. I was like trying to give them ideas to the screen, you know. It's like, well, why don't you just wait till dark, you know? And sure enough, someone finally did say that. I think it was Karen said that. And the other girl looked at her and was like, no, Jody said that. Jody was like, we could just wait till night because then it'll be pitch black. And I was like, I said that a while ago. And then Karen goes, and right before she said it, I was like, but I bet he's got night vision. She goes, a sniper is not going to be out there. You can guarantee you he's got night vision on that sniper. And I was like, this is true. But hey, I did come up with the idea and then answered my own nay to it at the same time. So, but I was like trying to give them ideas as well. They came up with the idea of like, what if we could get the SUV in neutral, right? And because they can't get no damn cell signal. It's just like it was just like that don't look back and everything. I mean, don't grow up. And what was the other one? Oh, the breed. Yeah. Nobody can get fucking cell signal. That's why I tell you people in your damn phones, you're fucked when you get out there somewhere and you ain't got a damn cell tower. It ain't gonna do you no damn good. Technology has got some flaws, but everybody wants to be on their cell phone 24/7. Still. So they realized though that right back, I mean, they're like right on the edge. If they can just get back a few yards, they managed to get a bar or two right back there. So it's like, well, what if we get the truck in neutral and we back it up, you know, push it back some. And the girl tried to tell them, she's like, we're on an incline. I really don't think we want to put this in neutral because if you put it in neutral and the bitch gets away from us, we're going to be sniper bait, yeah? So, and then you got poor Erickson out there going, what the fuck are y'all talking about? Y'all are just going to leave me here, you know? It's like, she's like, well, you can try to run over here. And he said, yeah, I sure could try to run over there. And end up another body laying with the others over there. So they end up trying that, and it does not work. It does get away from them a little bit. And did anybody get it? Todd gets shot again. I think this is where Eric got popped a few times. Yeah, he tried to run over, and the dude just played with him. They did manage to stop the Bronco, and the wheel fell off. Remember, they had never put the other wheel back on, so it fell and locked the Bronco to where it wouldn't move. That's the only thing that saved their ass, was that happening, because that truck was going to go on down the hill. But so there's a lot of tension in this movie. This sniper was a psycho. I mean, he was a psycho. One other vehicle did eventually come, which they were hoping, you know. And that was an intense scene where he makes it wreck. It throws the daughter out. The mom gets out. The mom is like brutally murdered. And the dad gets out. And they like scream at him, call 911. You know, call, do you have a signal? Call 911. And he's trying to do that, and the sniper like can't get him because he's behind a car. So he ends up like going, well, since the car's upside down, I can blow the bitch up. And so that's what he ends up doing. That blows that guy up. But, you know, did he get the 911 call off or not? You don't know. Until, of course, a truck shows up with some local troopers, two in the front and two in the back. They are made mincemeat out of very quick, thinking they're badass. They know where he's at and stuff like that. Eric's been killed. They come up with some neat ideas, like when they set the SUV on fire for smoke, because granted, it's dark now, so yes, he's going to have night vision, but soldiers throw grenades, right? Smoke grenades. So his night vision is going to be fucked up if you can get some smoke. So they're like, well, why don't we just cut up all the seats and cut the tires up and just set the SUV on fire, and it will give us cover. Well, the sniper's a little too good for that. It works to an extent. Jody is able to get over there to the troopers. Karen tries to head for the woods where he takes care of her. All the troopers were killed quite shortly. Ugly too. This movie is very gory, just to let you know. This isn't little bullet holes. This is high-powered assault rifle. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute too. But Jody, who was not the tough one, she was not what you thought was the final girl. She was the wimpiest of all of them. She was the bottom of the rung, and yet she ends up being the final girl and kind of like exploding after all of this has happened. She ends up taking the trooper's truck and just going for that sniper, and ends up ramming the tree that he's in, causing the sniper to fall from his nest, and he's hung up in his wires that he was using to hold himself in place. And she gets out. He manages to cut himself down. She gets out, gets a hold of the gun though, because he's dropped all his shit, and she lights him up like 4 or 5 times. She shoots him. Never held a high-powered assault rifle, you know, and she's having trouble with it, but she manages to take him out. Now, this is where the movie will, oh my God, it pissed me off. But she, now that he's like pretty much dead and spitting up blood and shit, she holds the rifle and she looks at it, and there's the 4 newest notches that he had made on it. And along with those 4, I know the kill count was listed, because I went to try to find out what gun he was using, and I ended up at this page that told you, you know, his total victims, and then it talked about the notches on the rifle. So those last 4, you know, included everyone except Karen and Eric, right? It was the 4 first people: Sarah, Todd, Jeff. But he had put those 4 notches in there. If you add the notches that were already there, because they showed you the notches on both sides, it ends up that he had 44 notches, including the 4 victims besides Karen and Jody. So he had 44 kills. And that doesn't include Jody and Karen and the troopers. So if you add it all up, the place that I went to had added it all up, and the notches plus those that he killed all equaled out to 44. So this was a psycho sniper who had taken 44 victims by the time he was killed. Now, why they did this, I don't know. I don't know the purpose of them doing this, but after she had killed him, she saw all of those notches, including the 4 of her friends, and that freaked her the fuck out. She got so angry that she started bashing his face in with the gun. And she bashed and she bashed and she bashed. And the reason that she didn't shoot him is because the gun jammed. So she's bashing and bashing and bashing his face in. And then she takes one big final bash, and the gun unjams and blows a hole right through her throat and the top of her head. And I was just like, no, man, you did not just do that. That was wrong, okay? That was unnecessary, completely rude, and very, very wrong. And so, of course, she falls back onto the ground, and blood spurting up out of her throat and coming out her mouth and stuff like that, because she's just killed herself from pure anger. And the movie ends there. And you're just like, I don't really know how to process that last 2 minutes. I mean, why did you do that? What was the purpose of doing that? I don't know. I think I'm going to go and look it up. Like, you can always type into Google, the ending, DownRange, ending explained. And I'm going to see what other people have to say about that, because I just don't get why they would do that after the weakest of them all killed the sniper and went all Carrie White on his ass. Why they would kill her, I don't know. That was just but yeah, you've got to see this. This movie is absolutely fantastic. But be prepared. It is very, very gory. And it could be very triggering. Now I'm going to get serious for a second. With all of the mass shootings and school shootings and stuff like that, I've heard a lot. I just watched, I've been watching that Cruise, the Parkland shooter, which I'm in Florida, so I knew that when it happened. But I've been watching the Nicholas Cruz penalty thing, and I listened to the coroners talking about all those kids he had shot, the class kids that he had shot, and having to listen to the description from a coroner of the damage to their bodies. This can be triggering, because, and then, Uvalde and stuff like that. This could definitely be triggering, because this is what a high-powered rifle does to a human body. And it's not the little bullet holes you see in The Godfather. It's not the top. These are extremely damaging, explosive damage to the human body. So if you're aware of the shootings, where's the disc? It's still in there. But if you're aware of the shootings, watching this kind of movie can really bring it home for you, because it is very gory, and seeing what a high-powered rifle does to a human body is not, it's not the kind of gunshots you're used to seeing, you know, which is just a little hole from a pistol or a revolver or something like that. But a high-powered rifle does a lot of damage. So I will say that seeing that kind of damage being done, someone's head being blown half off from just a bullet, um, might trigger you. You could be triggered by that. But yes, I absolutely love this movie. It is horrific. The tension is absolutely amazing. I had a great deal of fun watching this movie, except for the last 2 minutes where I was just like in this. I think I freeze framed like this for the last 2 minutes because I'm like, what was that for? I want that explained. Why did you? What was that supposed to mean? What kind of point were you making by having her blow her throat out from bashing this guy who just killed 44 people? And a what? 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12. That includes 12 in front of her. She witnessed the murder of 12 people. That doesn't count the other notches on the rifle. So, what did you punish her for by having her blow her throat out? Doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't know what the point was supposed to be of that, but it would definitely infuriate you. But yeah, so 2017, DownRange, survival horror, extremely gory, extremely bloody, but at the same time, extremely tension-filled, anxiety-producing, a very good horror movie. And that will do for tonight. And I've got the hiccups. So I will see you in the next group that I choose. Love you, miss you, bye. You are a very special person. Don't let anyone ever tell you different. And I will see you on the flip side. Have a good evening, and thank you for stopping by and checking it out. And I will talk to you in the next one. Ta-ta. Let me know if you've seen this, and let me know why they did what they did at the end of this movie. What the purpose of that could possibly have been. Check it out. DownRange. Bye-bye.